everybody, my name is Jo and I love to read. Today's video is going to be unusual facts that I have learned about Harry Potter while reading some non-fiction fiction books about the Harry Potter world. The facts that I learned while reading Harry Potter: A History of Magic, which was a book that is compiled by the British Library after they did the 20th anniversary of Harry Potter. Harry and Ron were supposed to crash into the lake in the second book, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, instead of the Whomping Willow, and then they would have met the first merpeople instead of in the fourth book. Before the Sorting Hat was created, other ideas were eeny, meeny, miny, moe, short straws, or being chosen by team captains or statues of each of the founders choosing. So the statues is kind of cool. Could have been like statues of the founders, I'm not sure. Now, just apologies that I'm going to spend a lot of the time looking down for this video, but I hope it'll be interesting for people anyways. The divination teacher was originally going to be called Enid Pettigrew. I wonder if Enid was supposed to be related to Peter, like Peter Pettigrew, or if when Enid was tossed out as the divination teacher, Pettigrew was just kept for later use as a potential surname for another character and thus became Peter Pettigrew, so that's interesting. Could you have any theories about that? Imagine if the divination teacher had known what Peter was going to do and been like, oh, my relative is going to do that, and that could have been a bit interesting. Voldemort, which was originally a red-eyed dwarf, lol. Fudge was originally the Muggle Prime Minister, and Vernon Dursley was competing for the Prime Minister position of the Muggles. That would have been funny, like the Prime Minister's nephew is Harry, like that would have been weird. And again, on the subject of the Dursleys, Dudley's name was originally Didsbury. That's all from the Harry Potter History of Magic. Now, of course, I did learn a lot more things from that, but they were more related to actual real world wizard historical origins like folklore and stuff, and I wanted to keep to facts that were about the wizarding world and the actual story. So now jumping across to the unofficial Ultimate Harry Potter Spellbook, which was published by Media Lab. First fact I read from that: in Order of the Phoenix, it is rumored... Did you hear Cooper? In Order of the Phoenix, it is rumoured Dumbledore gave Fudge a pumpkin for a head whilst avoiding arrest. The spell is called Melodies, and it encases the target's head in a pumpkin. Okay, is that one of those like details in Order of the Phoenix that I've forgotten about? But apparently in that scene where Dumbledore's escaping and like he jumps into Forks, originally people were saying in the book that Dumbledore gave Fudge a pumpkin for a head. That would have been pretty funny to watch. Couldn't we have included that in the movies? There is a hex that causes the target's toenails to grow at an alarming rate, and this was invented by Snape of all people. Not disappointed, to be honest. Not surprised. Before the golden snitch was invented in 1884, seekers traditionally caught small birds called golden snidgets. This practice started in 1269, however the birds eventually became endangered and the need for a replacement was realised. God, that'd be so traumatic for the birds and also probably pretty hard for the people playing Quidditch, because I assume that the golden stitch is maybe transfigured or something, or charmed so that it can't like fly out of the Hogwarts area, but imagine like the fact that a bird can go anywhere. The Hogwarts Quill of Acceptance is what detects the birth of each magical child in the UK and Ireland, and thus writes their name in the Hogwarts Book of Admittance. In 1977, Sirius and James flew Sirius's magical motorbike to escape Muggle police officers for an unknown reason. I wonder what that is. Is it actually unknown? Does anybody know? Let me know in the comments below. But also tell me, what are your theories? What do you think they would have been doing? I wonder whether Sirius did or didn't do something, but Sirius looked like he did something with a Muggle girl and her dad got upset and called the cops on them, and that's what happened. That's my guess. Occasionally, vanishing cabinets are sold on their own to vanish unwanted objects, as opposed to transporting something or someone between two locations when a pair is sold together. That's really interesting. If you're just wanting to like get rid of things and not wanting to throw them out, they were sold separately. I wonder where the things actually go, like whether they can't vanish. They would have to have like a vanishing spell put on them. But how would they leave the cabinet? Like what is that limitation? That's all from the unofficial Ultimate Harry Potter spellbook, and now we're moving on to the unofficial character compendium, also by Media Lab, and this also was written by people at MuggleNet, which is a website. Bathilda Bagshot, author of A History of Magic, is great aunt of Gellert Grindelwald. Now, this might not be so surprise to some people that are a much bigger fan than I am, but it was a bit of a surprise to me. I must have forgotten that. There's this section in the character compendium where it talks about the Black family tree, and I had a bit of a read along it, and they are also related by marriage to the Bulstrodes, the Crabs, the Macmillans, the Longbottoms, the Crouches, the Weasleys, the Potters, and of course we know the Lestranges. Although some of these families are a far bit removed from Sirius, they still are related, which really makes you kind of see what they're talking about by like very intertwined pureblood families. It's funny actually because, so I live in a small town in New South Wales, but for me, or a small like area of towns, like a shire, and for me, my mum came from another state, Victoria, and my dad came from another state, ACT. So I'm not, even though there are people with my maiden name here, I'm not related to any of them. The only people I'm related to is my mum's side of the family, which do live here. They moved up here when my mum was younger, but my dad's family are still in the ACT and they moved down here. So I don't really get so much the small town vibe, but there are people that I know that we're friends with since like moving to the town that I'm in, including my husband Daniel, but also one of my best girlfriends, Chelsea. And they actually had to, when they wanted to date people in school or if they liked someone, they would actually go and consult. I'm not sure so much Chelsea, whether maybe she talked to her mum or her dad or something, but Daniel told me that he would actually go to his nan and be like, hey, I like this girl, this is her surname, and his nan would either go, oh yeah, that's fine, or oh no, like you're related somewhere to them. So I have heard of that kind of happening, and even though I'm from a small town, I don't know that because most of my family, like all my cousins that I'm related to that I live down here, I know them. I'm not so much in a stage where like there's cousins that are far removed and I don't know who they are. The Bloody Baron's backstory is that he fell in love with Helena Ravenclaw, but when she fled to Albania with her mother Rowena's diadem, the Baron asked Rowena to persuade her daughter to come home. When the Baron goes because Rowena asked him and Helena refuses, he murders her before taking his own life. Like, Jesus. Again, some people might know this one. It's probably not like super unusual, but like I didn't know that. It's a very bad backstory. And like, Helena is stuck in the castle with the guy that murdered her and then killed himself because he murdered her. Like, imagine that. Jesus. And it also does make sense that she takes her mum's diadem to Albania, which is obviously where like Voldemort finds it and inserts his soul into it. Dumbledore hired Gilderoy Lockhart knowing he was a fraud. Of course you would, Dumbly. Not exactly a groundbreaking fact, but doesn't look favourably upon the headmaster that he was willing to waste a whole year of learning a very important subject, a whole year's learning a very important subject just to expose Lockhart. That's the only reason why he hired them, to expose him. And I mean, I guess arguably he does a lot more damage by people kind of like following him and trying to like learn from him when he doesn't know what he's talking about. But still, like, he sacrificed like a whole new generation's practical learning just to expose him. Like, couldn't he have just followed him or something? I don't know. And the last fact of them all, Nearly Headless Nick was executed because he made tusks grow on a lady-in-waiting from King Henry VIII's court. He was trying to fix her teeth. Obviously that didn't work very well. So that's all the facts that I ended up gathering from those 3 books that I read about the Harry Potter universe. Let me know, what's your favourite? Were any of these funny? Did you know all of them? Please let me know if you did. That's so awesome. Thanks everybody so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!